Ahsoka's entire. I wish they would just, if you're gonna keep her alive and all this shit, just let her fucking do her own thing. But the thing that makes Ahsoka special is that she's so attached to Anakin. So you just have to fucking spatter everything with Anakin all over the place instead of just letting her do her fucking thing.
None of this makes sense anymore. If your whole point was to build a universe around Ahsoka, then fucking do that from the beginning. Like you've already told us, like we already know what
Well,
we already know what
we don't because I don't know if you know this, Jeremy, but just because Ahsoka was one of the all dead Jedi that were speaking to Rey at the end of Rise of Skywalker, that doesn't mean she's dead, okay? Dave Filoni said so.
Oh,
And he drew a little fucking portrait of Gandalf and Ahsoka. Oh, people thought I was dead one time too. And these characters are basically the same now, according to Dave Filoni.
but even still, and I was definitely going to go in that direction with that, but even still, like just the universe in general, you already told us the story of 30 years after Return of the Jedi. We already know what the galaxy looks like. There's nothing to anticipate. There's nothing to look forward to from that perspective. And you made a choice, which I supported the choice at the time. You made an active choice to say, we are going to jump forward 30 years into the future and we're going to tell you the story. And I thought that, hey, that decision was probably made because the actors are older, you know what I mean? And they want to tell
Makes
that.
sense. Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes total sense. Your intent to do that, Disney, was to move on completely from the George Lucas era. That you said that many times. That was your intent behind it. If that was your intent, that's fine. But you have done nothing but actively go back to the exact era that you claimed you wanted nothing to do with. The same era that got fans called racist and sexist when you said, hey, can you guys just kind of focus on, George Lucas's era, Star Wars, the original trilogy and all of that? No, we can't. And now you're doing it because you're basically creatively bankrupt. You can't tell a story to save your life without tying it back to George's creation, which is fine. That's how it should have been because it is George's creation. You moved on from the sequel trilogy. You actively decided that the sequel trilogy outline from George Lucas was not good enough to your standards. Can you imagine what Star Wars would feel like right now if you carried on George's vision? It would feel a lot different. It'd feel a lot better. If you carried George's vision and if you kept him on as an advisor, which is the perfect role for him at the time, it would have been the perfect role. You use his outline, you use your resources, you use your directors, and that's fine, but you're using his story and you have him as an advisor. Star Wars would have felt completely different, but you decided to move on from all of that. And now you're going back to it because it's all you have.
It's funny because you look at those outlines and who knows how much would have changed between when they got the outlines and what they eventually decided to do. George is pretty notorious for changing his mind a lot. But when they get those outlines of like, we can't make this. This won't really work. That's exactly what people were telling George about the original trilogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
About Star Wars
Yep.
for years. And, that's why once he got the freedom to do it, he didn't want anybody telling him that for the prequels. And he just did his own thing because he knew that no normal Hollywood studio was going to go for that thing. That's what, in all likelihood, his sequels would have been too. Maybe they would have done well. Maybe they would have been shit, but it would have been the creator's vision. And people can swallow that.
A wise man once said that he sold his creation to the white slavers.
That was him.
I know.